Final chapter. On the same morning that Ben and Pip began their quest for the truth about Sam, she awoke from a haunting nightmare to a piercing buzz in her ears. The unsettling sound seemed to come from deep within, leaving her dizzy and nauseous. Glancing at the clock, she made a firm decision not to go to work in her current state. All she wanted was to stay close to Jenna. The growing distance between them had become harder to bear. For some reason, thoughts of Jessica filled her mind, and she wondered if Jessica missed her too. Confused by the surge of emotions, Sam recalled the first time Jessica had approached her at the cafe where Sam often spent her lunch breaks sketching in black pencil. Jessica had casually mentioned that she came there every day, a devoted fan of Sam's art. Jessica had been genuinely surprised to learn that Sam had no children. She believed that someone with Sam's beauty, inside and out, should have had many children to pass on those good genes. Sam now realized that Jessica was the kind of person who could never offend anyone. Back then, though, Sam had only heard what she wanted to hear, blinded by her own perceptions. Sam turned in her bed, the persistent noise that had been waking her for days echoing in her mind like a relentless brain zap. Jessica was the only person who knew that Jenna was Sam's biological daughter, and revealing that secret had been her greatest mistake. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. Uncertain if she had taken her pills correctly, she bolted out of bed and rushed to check the container. Counting the pills, she confirmed the number was right, but a nagging doubt crept in. Had the doctor's assistant sent her the wrong batch? With shaking hands, she picked up the phone and dialed their number. "Janet, my ears are ringing. Can you tell me what's going on? Are you cutting me off, or is someone messing with the formula?" "Neither," Janet replied, her tone calm and reassuring. "I always triple-check everything before I send it out. Have you missed a couple of doses? I highly recommend starting to taper down, Sam." "This is bullshit, and you know it." Sam felt a surge of anger, raw and unfamiliar, an intensity she hadn't experienced in a long time. She hung up the phone, her mind racing as she envisioned the corner where she had hidden her meds. Jenna had shattered half the items surrounding the concealed box, exposing it, and since Ben and Jenna hadn't been staying at the house, she had grown sloppy in her hiding. Suddenly it dawned on her. Ben had enough time to snoop around and find them. He must have been onto something. The memory of her first pill came rushing back. She had placed one on her tongue, curious about the taste. Instead of the expected bitter, chalky flavor, it had a surprisingly herbal and slightly sweet essence. She didn't know what these pills were, but they certainly weren't hers. In a blind rush of rage, she walked over to the toilet and dumped the entire bottle into the bowl, watching as the pills spiraled down, disappearing with a flush. First things first, she needed her coffee to clear her mind. The familiar ritual would help her focus as she tried to piece together why Ben had stolen her pills and what he intended to do with them. The thought sent a jolt of anxiety through her. Lost in thought, Sam walked to the local cafe and settled at a table, waiting for her usual to arrive. From the booth behind her, she could hear the waitress chatting with a customer. "Would you like to add some beef to your nachos for an extra $5? "No, I don't eat animals," replied the man sitting in the booth behind her. "So you only eat people then?" the self-amused waitress shot back. Sam stared into her long black coffee, feeling as if she was suffering from the worst hangover of her life. It was a feeling of déjà vu, as if someone had yanked her brain out and was tugging at it string by string. The nightmare from the night before flashed through her mind, except it felt more like a memory. Did that really happen? She looked back at her coffee. The cup seemed to fill with blood, frothing and fresh. It couldn't be real. She needed her corner to regain her grip on reality. As the sounds around her began to muffle, all she could hear was tick-tock, tick-tock. Her heart raced, but the train and the animated bear didn't arrive. Instead, a young, lanky man with a limp appeared. His gaunt frame and hollow cheeks made him look almost skeletal, tattered clothes hanging loosely from his wiry body. Sunken eyes glinted with an unsettling intensity beneath a mop of unkempt hair, half hidden in shadow. There was no soul behind those eyes. Sam could see it, and she felt a chill at the familiarity. She was home. Sam stood in the corner of the alley near the school. She was 12 years old. "I don't like them either. They're loud and dumb. Far too dumb." said Sam with a grin on her face. The man didn't respond. "What's your name?" asked Sam. "Dale." Sam looked him up and down and took out her ham and cheese sandwich, offering it to Dale. Dale refused. "I don't eat animals." Sam smiled. "You can't hang around schools like this, you know. People will notice you very soon." Dale looked at the young girl, confused. He thought he could snap her neck with one hand. What an exhilarating feeling. Sam took an apple out of her bag and offered it to Dale. That was the beginning of the deadliest friendship. It was Sam who initiated Dale into a sinister world, sharing the insights she gathered from crime novels and harrowing news articles detailing police investigations. With a cold, calculated tone, she educated him on the art of concealment, instructing him on the importance of keeping evidence far from his home, never allowing anything to trace back to him. In an era before DNA testing cast its unforgiving light on the guilty, Dale learned the power of a simple, twisted gesture. He would hand his victims gloves, a seemingly innocuous offering that masked a far more nefarious intent. "Put these on," he would say, his voice smooth and inviting, as if he were bestowing a gift. "We wouldn't catch anything from the dogs, would we? They are strays, and they might have some bad illnesses. There's a kind that makes your willy turn black and fall off. Let me check it for you before you leave." It was Sam who drilled into him that wiping away the evidence of his crimes would only invite suspicion. Better to leave the scene chaotic and untouched. She urged him to embrace a facade of simplicity that would cloak his true intellect and cunning. And he was a fast learner. The rest was all Dale's doing, but without Sam's pointers, he would have been caught very early on. The room went dark. "Is there a doctor here?" "Someone call an ambulance," yelled the talkative waitress. Sam was having a full-blown panic attack, gasping for air as if her lungs were filled with water. "Ma'am, do you have asthma?" "Someone look into her handbag," asked one of the customers. Sam reached for and clutched her handbag as if all her secrets were hidden inside. She got up and tried to collect herself, storming out of the cafe. As a child, she couldn't fully grasp what she was doing. It felt like a game to her. A 12-year-old girl who had always been in trouble for pursuing her own brand of fun. Now, she could recruit others to join in without facing any consequences herself. Little did she know that all those scenarios she had been crafting would lead her down a path she could never have anticipated. Children were tortured and killed, and many people suffered because of it. Now she knew everything her mind had suppressed about what she had done. Her mother's anger and abuse, all those scare tactics ranging from the fear of God's wrath to the danger of imprisonment, all those visits to psychologists, the private conversations her mother would have with them, and finally, the medications they prescribed made her forget what she had done. All this time, she thought these treatments were meant to prevent her hallucinations that could lead to schizophrenia. She had been told she shouldn't have kids because it ran in the family, but it was really because there was a chance that Sam could also hurt her own child. Now, Sam could see that Jenna was becoming just like her, and she was well aware that all the methods believed to cure them were wrong. None of the methods worked because she and Jenna didn't need curing. There was nothing wrong with them. Sam picked up her phone and searched for a name, but she hesitated to call from her own number. Instead, she decided to find a payphone on the street and dialed the number. A refined, cultured voice answered. "Hello?" "Oh, Captain, my Captain," Sam recited. There was a long pause on the other side of the line. Finally, he said, "Where are you? I'll send a car to get you. I need to collect my daughter first, and I'll join you in a few hours. That should give you some time to get things ready." "Sounds good. You know where to go. Be safe, okay?" the man said before hanging up. Sam arrived just before noon, having successfully checked Jenna out of the clinic for their planned weekend together. She drove only a couple of blocks, parked on a quiet street, and walked with Jenna to a main road where they could easily find a taxi. "Coral Sea Marina, please," commanded Sam. "Ma'am?" The taxi driver glanced at Sam in the mirror, skepticism flickering across his face. Sam handed him a fistful of $100 notes. "Don't worry about the meter." At the mention of the marina, Jenna let out a delighted giggle. She was finally free from the prison she had endured for weeks. Sam turned around and enveloped her in a long, loving hug. As the cab wove through the midday traffic, sunlight poured in through the windows, filling the car with warmth. A surge of liberation swelled within Sam. With a smooth, deliberate motion, she tossed her phone out the window, watching it tumble to the ground, where a following car crushed it. The weight of obligations, guilt, and endless noise vanished. Finally, she could leave the masquerade behind and let the dance floor belong to the puppets. In its place was a thrilling vastness, a future where she could steer herself anywhere she wanted. With each passing second, her mind painted scenes of freedom, each more vibrant than the last, transforming her life into a blank canvas where she and Jenna could create anything they desired. Jenna and Sam arrived at the marina on a beautiful, sunny afternoon. A polite, uniformed staff member greeted them as they boarded a stunning 200-foot super yacht, leaving their old lives behind and carrying only a small duffel bag between the two of them. From the cabin emerged a distinguished gentleman, the owner of both the voice on the phone and this magnificent vessel. He stepped forward and embraced Sam warmly. With silver hair swept back by the breeze, he exuded an effortless grace that belied his years. His sun-kissed skin and sharp, chiseled features hinted at a life spent outdoors, while his tall, athletic frame remained fit and commanding, even past 60. Despite the lines etched around his eyes, they sparkled with youthful mischief, adding a charming allure to his rugged, ageless handsomeness. Well, 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 here's my brilliant accountant and financial advisor. And is this our little princess, Jenna? It's wonderful to finally meet you. He extended a hand, which Jenna shook with a mix of curiosity and excitement. So, Jenna, where should we head? The Solomon Islands or Vanuatu? Jenna, basking in the attention yet clueless about the destinations, blurted out the one word she remembered. Vanuatu? Vanuatu it is, he said, nodding to the staff member, who promptly relayed the instructions to the captain. As the yacht began to glide away from the dock, another crew member approached with a bright smile. Jenna, would you like to see your room? Jenna, brimming with excitement, eagerly followed the staff member below deck. As she disappeared from view, Sam turned to the gentleman beside her. I can't believe we pulled this off on such short notice. Thank you for coming through for us. The gentleman's silver hair danced in the breeze as he wrapped an arm around Sam briefly before letting go. Anything for you, my dear. Besides, your magical financial skills helped us get this yacht, and plenty of other shiny toys. We always keep it ready for the weekends, in case the missus or the kids want to sail, or, for emergency escapes. He raised an eyebrow, lowering his voice. So how bad is it? Tax office, ASIC, the feds? My ex-husband, so potentially all of them, plus the local police and the Department of Child Services. It started with the drinking, but after we separated, his jealousy and paranoia multiplied. I found out he's been drugging me and Jenna, manipulating us without a second thought, just to keep control. He's spiraling, and I know he'd go to any lengths to drag me down, to destroy anyone connected to me. My work and my clients won't be an exception. He'll whisper lies, paint me as the monster, and if he could, he'd take Jenna from me just to see me broken. If I slip away, if I disappear from his grasp, he loses his power. He's desperate, and that makes him reckless. God, I know he'll tear down everything I've built, everyone I care about, just to get back at me. Wow, so sorry to hear that. As a deal we made, I owe you one. You and Jenna are protected and supported until you're comfortable to come back home. I think we can do better than that. I heard what destinations you picked, so how about we set up shop there and get you and the lady the island you always wanted to retire on? She took a sip of her mimosa and let out a grin. Atta girl. He kissed Sam on the top of her head. Empowered by wealth and ambition, they reveled in their complete lack of guilt or empathy. Nothing could stop them now as they sailed off together, disappearing into the sunset.